What are you? I'm Batman. What are you? I'm Batman.
Hello and welcome to a look at Batman for the Amiga, a game that was made, released, and hyped out of proportion. Let's use that phrasing. Why not? By Ocean Software. Of course, it is known as Batman the movie because it's related to the movie of 1989. And even though it was never officially called Batman the movie, that is the title it is known by collectively. I don't know whether Ocean was ever considering adopting it, but I'm fairly sure that officially it's just known as Batman. Of course, it is a movie tie-in to the Batman film, as I just mentioned, and this game takes different sequences from that film and turns them into levels. A whopping total of 5 levels, where you have 2 platformers, 2 3D section, and a minor puzzle section. The platform sequences are relatively similar, but the setting and amount of enemies and aggressiveness of enemies is very, very different. The 3D sections, you have one of them which is absolutely epic, and one of them, in my opinion, which is extremely tedious. And then, of course, you have the puzzle section even. That feels like it was just added to have something extra in the game because someone felt that 4 levels wasn't enough. It is not particularly detracting from the game, but it, in my opinion, doesn't add much either. I'm glad it's there, but I wouldn't have missed it if it wasn't, put it that way. From a graphical point of view, I would have liked this game to be slightly darker. You have some sort of idea that it's Batman, but I would have loved to have his suit perhaps be a touch darker than it is. The way Batman looks in this version doesn't necessarily make you believe that he could hide in darkness. Beyond that, the other graphical elements are of a very, very high quality, and I do like the general look of this game. Sound effects are satisfying and meaty, perhaps even too meaty. The grenade explosion sound is quite excessive, and if you play this game with remotely high volume, it will probably give you a headache after a while. But the quality of the sound effects themselves is very, very high. The music, the title music, I could have on loop indefinitely. I don't know why, but I will love the title music of this game. I can't seem to get tired of it. I probably would have to listen to it for 10 hours straight, but yeah. On occasion, just listening to it, I could have it on loop for quite a long period of time without it bothering me. The music in general is of a very high quality, and I like the style of the music, but there's another version I've covered of which music I actually think I prefer over this. There's nothing wrong with it in any way, shape, or form. It's very good quality, but I just like the other version's style more. Time to give Jack Napier a swim. Oops. We have created the bad guy. So we spend the rest of the game undoing our mistake. And in the first part of that, we run away because, of course, we are superhero. That's what superheroes do. When shit hits the fan, it's time to floor the accelerator and run away. The famous and fabled level 2 of the Amiga version of Batman. Deservedly so. Remember that this game was released in 1989. Compared to modern racing games where racing sequences and whatnot, it would probably seem bleh to certain people, but for the time, this was amazing. You are basically running away from the Joker's henchmen, and you have Vicky Vale, the reporter, in your car, and you have to run the time, or the distance, not the timer. You don't want to run the timer down, but you want to run the distance down to 0. That means you've completed the level. While you're racing even, there will be indicators at the top of the screen indicating what side you need to do the turn in order to progress through the stage. And you have 3 chances, and if you fail the third lamp post, there will be a police blockade that will catch you, causing you to lose life, because at this point in the game, or in the film even, the police didn't know what side of the law Batman was on, so they were just as keen on stopping him as the Joker's henchmen were. It's great, but it's not perfect. The car can behave a bit like a pinball even, meaning that if you knock into an obstacle, it's very, very easy to bounce between obstacles and losing health at an alarming rate. And it is possibly a touch too long, but it deserves a reputation of being an epic level. So here we come to the puzzle level, which is basically a mastermind kind of gameplay thing where you, as Batman, have to analyze different household components to work out what combination will cause the Smilex gas to be formed, because of course the Joker, being a real bastard, has decided to scare the public into using cosmetics, because if they use the 3 wrong types of cosmetics at the same time, they will gas themselves. A very funny sequence in the film. It's not funny that way, but the reporter in that film looking like he's never had any skincare done for weeks is quite amusing. So the second 3D section, which is Batman chopping balloons with his Batwing, using the wings of the Batwing. And I've never really enjoyed this level. Graphically, it's fine. Music-wise, it's the same as level 2, which I find slightly disappointing. But you have this Batwing, which control-wise is extremely sensitive to any touches of your controller joystick thing. And you have a Batwing that can fly at quite an excessive speed, but you cannot use that speed, because if you do that, you will miss so many balloons that you will lose your health extremely quickly. And yeah, someone's bound to prove me wrong. No, you can easily play with max speed. Good on you. I can't. Maybe I suck. That is entirely likely. But for me, this is just a tedium that I don't particularly enjoy. So sounds and looks epic, but I think it's a bit weak. So, getting to the final level of the game, which a surprise is the second platform level, because I mentioned earlier there was 2 platform levels and you haven't seen the second one yet. So I guess since this is the final level and there was supposed to be another platform level, this would have to be it. Ha! Regardless, we are chasing the Joker who's trying to run away from Batman. And we chase him into Gotham Cathedral, and of course we need to chase him all the way to the top to have a little chat. Now, this level, while very, very similar to the first level, has its difficulty amped up to an excessive level. The henchmen are a lot more aggressive, and I mean a lot more aggressive than they were on the first stage, and there's an unpleasant liking for respawning enemies or spawning enemies. I don't know whether they're respawning, but there's an awful lot of spawn points for enemies that means that you can very easily get caught in a position where you get shot, grenaded, stomped on, called names and all sorts of things, which is not present in the 8-bit version I have covered of this game already. And I understand why it's been done in such a way, but I also think it's a bit cheap, because if you're not familiar with this game and you haven't played it 100 times or 1,000 times or whatever times it might be, you can get to a certain bit in this level, and then suddenly you have 3 guys with grenades that you can't even see throwing grenades at you. You have 4, 5, 6 guys shooting at you at the same time, and you just see your health plummet like a rock thrown out a window. It's not particularly it is not a particularly good feeling, but I suppose to give you some sort of sense of value for your money, they have to do something to encourage you to have to play the game again. I could probably mention interface and all that stuff, but I think it's fairly self-explanatory. The fact that you have the image of Batman's face slowly turning into an image of the Joker's face, a mechanic that Ocean used in an awful lot of games. And of course, if you get the Joker's ugly mug, you will have run out of energy and lost a life. So, overall, I can spend a minute or two talking about that. Much like the other version I've covered of this game, I can't actually pinpoint what it is that I like so much about this game, but I think it's a combination of everything. The pacing is slightly faster, which I think works extremely well. I'm quite happy with it. I have mentioned my slight dissatisfaction with certain parts of the graphics, but the graphics are definitely not bad. Sound effects and music, again, definitely not bad. But of course, sound and music and graphics and all that stuff will not make a game. It is the gameplay. And while this game, this specific version, can annoy the hell out of me, I keep coming back for more. I don't know whether it's the Batman aspect of it, or it's the combination of different levels or whatnot, but yeah, I just have a certain liking for this game, and I've always had it. And over the years, I have completed this quite a few times, I'd say. I may not be as keen to play this version at the spur of the moment like I would with the other version of it that I've covered, but it is definitely a game that once I start playing it, I will happily play until I've completed it. Or I fail at some point in some level and hate myself, and yeah, all that stuff. Well, I've already mentioned how in the previous video what I feel about the Commodore 64 version of this game. I wouldn't necessarily rate the Amiga version in the same way, but I would definitely rate it as the best movie tie-in Ocean ever released. I know that there are certain people that will argue another movie tie-in, which I will not mention in case I decide to cover it, but the film, that other film never did much for me, and the game never did much for me either, so I cannot agree to that. Regardless, it is a chance to play a hero in 5 different stages, which are not 5 different stages, but you know what I mean. It is paced well enough. It plays excellently. It sounds good, it looks good, and for me at least, I fully enjoyed playing it. The comments about this game are varied. Most people seem to agree that it's a decent enough game, but certain people seem to think that this game is impossible. At least this video will showcase that this is definitely not impossible. But as with any other game, if you face some challenges and you are not in a mindset to overcome such challenges, then any game with a remote challenge can easily frustrate you very, very quickly. But with a bit of persistence, and of course, it sort of requires that you like the gameplay and all that stuff, but you can get to the point where you, just like me, that sounded very, very arrogant, it wasn't intended to, can complete the game with somewhat relative ease. Batman the movie was definitely one of my more liked Amiga games, and without question, in my opinion, one of Ocean's best games in general, and easily their best movie time game. I'm very quick to smack Ocean for their releases, but they definitely deserved and deserve top marks for this one. And on that note, thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye for now.